hear myself through my headphones. Yes, man. Like, I feel real good about this right now.
Pay attention, because you are now listening to Permission to Speak Freely.
It's perfect. All the New York Nick talk has been nicked out of the episode, right? For the listeners, this is a very special episode, right? I wanted the after school special this, right? It's a very special episode because we joined by Lieutenant Commander Jeff Migdal. And we're gonna talk about going officer, right? We're gonna talk about officer packages and things like that. Lieutenant Commander Jeff Migdal. Jeff, he put out the preparation before application outline. And we just want to get into it. So we're happy to have you here. So thanks for coming in.
Grateful. Thanks, guys, for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. This is a great topic. Then I think a lot of sailors that are looking for commissioning, whether it's OCS or State 21, sometimes don't have the right guidance. So I'm hoping that somebody can take something away from this tonight. So again, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Now, did you feel like, is any of this bred from you feeling like you didn't have the right guidance when you submitted? Because you were enlisted as well, right?
That's right. I joined the Navy undesignated in 2002. I spent 2 years undesignated, and then I became an air crewman. Back in the day when, a long time ago, aviation warfare systems operator, acoustic guy, that was me. But instead of doing that and going to P3s, I went to Tacoma, which is in Oklahoma, and flew for 10 years on the E-6B Mercury doing nuclear command and control. So no, to your question, no, I didn't have I'll be honest, any real issues submitting my application, and getting it through the chain of command. I did apply 3 times. My pipeline was OCS. So I finished my degree in 2010. I applied in 2011, was not selected. Submitted a reconsideration request because in the 1420, there's actually a chapter that talks about, or within the chapter, it talks about doing a reconsideration request within 6 months of your first initial application. I did that. Mm-hmm. I still wasn't selected. And I had MTS. I was Junior Sailor of the Year. All the things that we all worked for when we're young. Doing what your chief's asking you to do and trying to do more to help, your chain of command and doing the mission. And then so I just went on a year-long IA to the Middle East and came back. And the chain of command was still supportive. And they were like, let's try this again. I started working on my master's at that time. I'm a first class. This is 2012 now. And a buddy of mine who is also a lieutenant commander now that I used to fly with, he called me one day in July of 2012 to 2013. So this was 2013. He called me. He's like, hey, you need to apply for OCS. And I'm like, bro, I've already tried twice. Like, I don't know what I can do. Like, I'm, Sailor of the Year, 5-0 fit reps, evals. Like, what do you do? He's like, trust me. So it was crazy how it happened. He connected me with his XO, commander, Captain Mike Regans from the Cryptologic War. He's a cryptologic warfare officer. And we did an interview and it just exploded from there. It's basically just networking across all these officers that helped me get to, my chain of command included. And it worked its way into where I was able to submit my application October 1 of 2013, and I was selected December 20th of 2013.
Nice.
So, but the chain of command, even with I'm going to be honest, starting with my chief, man, he's a former Marine at the time, Chief Lyons, holy hell. He supported the heck out of me. But he was so ruthless. He's like, you're going to do this. We're going to do it by the book. We're going to do it by the letter. And I'm like, Roger, let's go. The chain of command was great. So I'm very fortunate. And again, I would say this, I think you guys would agree. We can't be where we are today without the support of others. And that includes our family, which you guys completely understand and recognize as well, I'm sure. So yeah, my experience was great. The fact that it took me 3 times, to make OCS, okay. Did it delay me a little bit? Maybe, sure. But did it stop me from getting to where I wanted to be? No. So here I am.
Yeah. Why'd you join undesignated?
Because my ASVAB was trash. That's why. I took it. Okay. If transparency, baby. I was like a B student. I was focused on hockey. I grew up playing hockey in upstate New York. I played junior hockey. My goal was to go, play college hockey at a junior college and hopefully move on. But when you have I say terrible grades. When you have B's and high C's, you're not going to cut it. So I had to dig in, and that's why I joined undesignated. Actually, my recruiter, he was CTR1 Barney, Todd Barney at the time. This is in 2000, and this is November of 2001, because I actually signed up in November of 2001. And then January came around and I was like, ooh, I might get to go to this junior college and play junior hockey. And so I basically tried it from the Navy. I said, no, I'm not going. I'm not shipping in March of 2002. And the last thing Todd said to me, he's a retired NCC CS now, great guy, still talk to him, still in contact with him. He told me, he looked at me, he said, you'll be back. And sure shit, I was back. I came back about a couple months later and he shipped me out in June 3rd, 2002. So I just hit my 24-year mark, a couple of weeks ago. And
nice.
Honestly, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. So a lot of things have to line up. But that's why I joined enlisted, because I didn't have the ASVAB. So I retook the ASVAB, became an air crewman, and then the career just kind of took off.
Yeah. So you had, we kind of going back a little bit. So you had this thought to join and some things happened sandwiched between, but in this period of time, September 11th happened. Right, the September 11th, the World Trade Center
attack. And I
actually
went to the recruiter. Actually, Todd actually called me. I was staying. We were at a hockey tournament, and my cell phone rang. Excuse me, and it was Todd. And I'm like, "Hey, what's up? This is Todd Barney, United States Navy." I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then I, hung up with him. I was like, "Yeah, I'll let you know," or whatever. And so I called my mom. I'm like, "Mom, why did you let him call me? Like, what do we do here?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "I'm not interested. Like, I'm not like." But then this is October timeframe, and then I went and signed up in November. But then again, January 2022 is when I was like, "Todd, I'm not doing this. I'm just not feeling it." So, but he was right. I came back. So
yeah. Because the other connection, like outside of just military, is you're from New York. Were you in New York on September 11th, 2001?
So I was actually, as I mentioned a little while ago, probably off air, I grew up just north of Syracuse, New York, which is the center of the state itself. I was in fact home. I had just woke up, and then of course the planes collided with the tower. I had a friend of mine who I went to high school with going to St. John's University, which is in New York City.
Yeah.
At the time, I couldn't get a hold of her. Like, it was pretty catastrophic from a perspective of understanding, like, what is going on. I had just graduated high school, and actually everything was like canceled that night. Like, we had hockey practice, everything was shut down, canceled. So yeah, I don't think that was necessarily something that I really thought about at the time, but I would say that's probably it propelled me to the motivational piece of, as my mom started saying, mom and dad both, and they still say it today, the Navy was the best decision I ever made, and I couldn't agree more with them.
So you join undesignated and you kind of kick ass. Well, first, how was just life as an undesignated seaman? Were you undesignated seaman or airman?
I was an undesignated airman. I was airman, yeah. So I will tell you, going to a P3 squadron as a airman is not bad. I was actually making more money in my per diem than I was in my base pay. So, airman apprentice Migdal arrived to VP-16 in NAS Jacksonville, and they were deployed to Sicily. I graduated boot camp August 8th of 2002. I was in Italy by September 15th. So...
see, man, I got hosed, man. I went to V4.
Well, yeah, V4. That's right. You did. Gross.
I was like, damn,
Yeah,
I'm glad I did it. I cut my teeth, but per diem, 18, 19, that sounds nice.
It was a pretty good setup, I'll be honest. But yeah, I was in from September to February timeframe. And that really kind of, I look back on that, and, my first LPO was an MS-1 Keen, and he went on to make, chief. And boy, he was fairly ruthless. He was a ship guy. And, I'm working in the Gidunk, flipping burgers and serving hot dogs to the air crewmen. And I see these guys in their green suits and I'm like, that's cool. I didn't know anything about naval aviation. Mm-hmm. And so I'm making coffee and doing this and that. And finally I get my turn done. It's like cranking, both in boot camp and at OCS. And then, during mess days or whatever. And then so I do my 6 to 10 months of Gidunk work. And they push me to Work Center 310 or the line shack. And I'm like, okay. I get to learn how to launch and recover P3s. Pretty freaking sweet. So I got qualified as an airman, as a plane captain. For me, that was kind of a highlight at the time, right? But I knew deep down there was something more that I wanted to keep pursuing, and not having a rate that really kind of that hits home, because hey, I don't have a rate. How am I gonna drive? How am I gonna propel? How am I going to advance? So that's when I was like, air crewman, huh? That looks pretty fun. I love Top Gun. That's one of my favorite movies. So
yeah, let's do it.
So that's kind of where it started, and this was in 2002 to 2004, and that's when I left for air crew school here in Pensacola.
Yeah. Now the transition from is and now like as I grow and I learn more, it's different communities. So different communities like just got different cultures anyway, right? So as a surface guy, I feel like the transition between like domestics in the war room, I'll just say that, right? Domestics in the war room, right? Enlisted an officer. I feel like it's a very significant kind of change for somebody who never like sat in the war room, had these meetings and stuff like that for a junior sailor. How was the transition for you in that, in your warfare area that you were in? How was that transition going from enlisted to officer?
It was a complete change because as an air crewman, aviation is definitely different. I mean, that's why there's so much back and forth between the surface Navy and the aviation Navy, right? There's a lot of this, brown shoes, black shoes, all nine. And, I still wear my brown shoes, so don't judge. And they look better in khakis anyways. Come on now.
Look, we can't argue. You're right.
I wear both to piss people off. I can do both. So.
You do left and right. You wear one black, one brown. Is that what you do?
Yeah. So I wear the black shoes
Only DRBs.
and brown socks. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. Yeah, I see a lot of ensigns doing that too. It's really cool. But no, man, I lost track of what the question was. Oh, the transition. So for me, it was definitely a 180. It was complete. It was a mind shift because I knew nothing about signals intelligence. I knew nothing about cryptologic warfare, electronic warfare, or cyber for that matter. I was dealing with nuclear command and control, very technical work, but in a very niche field, right? And I'd been there for 10 years. So when I became an ensign, I didn't get to the ship until I was a JG. I went to the USS Michael Murphy, do it for Murph. It was what an amazing tour. It was my first ship in 16 years. And I'll tell you, if I would have joined the Navy and been in, V4 div, I don't know if I would have stayed in because those boys, those HTs, they work. Now, I'm not saying I didn't work, but Geedunk life ain't nothing compared to what the HTs and the GSEs are doing. Yeah. So it really gave me a lot of... EMs,
thanks.
They still, they got AC. They got more AC though. Get out of here.
You about to have these snipes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, man. Hush that down.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. The snipes were great, and I learned a lot. Right, so those guys, they were fantastic. But it really was an eye-opening experience because I look around the ship. Other than CES, ship signals exploitation space, my team specifically, no one really knew what your warfare area was, and you're kind of like you're like, what do I do with my hands? Not me, but they're like, who are you and why are you here? So you immediately realize that when you step into that wardroom, you're the warfare area of cryptologic warfare or information warfare. Mm-hmm. So I realized very quickly that my qualification on my chest said I can speak to these warfare areas. And, I've heard horror stories. Thankfully, I feel like I made good strides because I had great chiefs. My chief, she's now a master chief. She was my CTTCS, fantastic. And now I believe she's a CMC. Jess Kerr, I don't know if you guys know her. Okay. But she was fantastic. She was very very, very hard on me for training purposes, and that was okay. I mean, it was tough initially, and I took it hard. And then my CTRC, who's now on Master Chief Select, Ray Alfred, he was fantastic too. And again, if I didn't have them, I definitely wouldn't have, at least in my opinion, based on what I've seen happen through the 2 years I was there, I don't think it would have been as successful. And then, it was such I remember carrying my sea bag up the Florida country and setting down the floor. And then my rack was all the way to the end by the female head. And I put my pin code in, I opened the door and I just started sweating. Like, this is like 100 square feet. Like, what are we doing? But so I want to pump the brakes there because it was like, let's go down and check out our team. Where do they live? Right. And so that was where the realization came to be like, hey, you're living in a 2-man stateroom with a big bed.
Yeah.
What are you complaining about? Right. And so that's to me. And it was me talking to myself because my roommate was the ATO and he wasn't there. But so, yeah, it was definitely a culture shock for me because, I had to learn how to, permission to come aboard initially or whatever. And then I have permission to depart the ship. Like learning all these things, the customs and courtesies, which I love the pomp and circumstance of the way the Navy's done this, since 1775. Like, it's amazing. And it's really something special when you get to be part of it in this regard. Whether you're an enlisted sailor, whether you're a chief, or whether you're an officer, there's something very special to be said about the fact that the Navy runs because of the people that run it. And it really is something special. So.
Yeah, because you went to a whole different community too. So that just completely different lifestyle, culture, understanding of just how things work and operate.
100%. And that's the thing that people sometimes don't realize. Like, and then it goes to the, the application piece. A lot of folks are like, yeah, I just want to be a SWO. Are you sure you want to be a SWO? Let's talk about this for a minute. It's like, and you guys are shaking your head. I know you guys get it. Like those guys and gals, they get their lunch eaten daily. And while I was on the bridge driving the ship, I would see the SWOs just get absolutely murdered for doing something stupid. And me over here conning the ship, all ahead full, let's go. What's Iwo doing on the ship, on the bridge, trying to get his OOD qual, But that was something special.
Now, what percentage of like the work that you do can you talk about? Like that's always, I never talk to anybody that do crypto that ever tells me anything.
So there's not a lot of it, if I'm honest. But like I said, I think briefly before we jumped on, I currently lead a team of about 17, 18 CWTs, ITs, CTMs, ISs, and we do offensive and defensive cyber training. So what does that mean? Why does that matter? There's 10 cyber mission force teams that we're required, that we're responsible for. And there's 3 sites like mine across the Navy, Maryland, Pensacola, and Hawaii. And what we do right now, more specifically, cyber protection teams are defensive Navy networks, right? So right now we have a team on deck right now at our facility, and we're training them on the intricacies of defensive cyber operations. Conversely, we also train on offensive cyber operations, but of course that's done in a skiff, right? So when you talk about offensive and defensive, think of it like, kinetic versus non-kinetic. We all understand what a bomb does. Well, non-kinetic fires, if you will, would be a cyber attack on an adversary's network, if that makes sense. So think of it like that. You got to do the reconnaissance. You've got to do the planning. And then you've got to get in there and figure out if you even have access. Because you can do all this great work and all this great research and information gathering, open source, closed source, whatever the case is, but you may never get access. And that's, those are the things that it makes it very difficult. So, and that's specific to cyber, of course, and even in signals intelligence, because signals intelligence is part of this as well in electronic warfare, which I know you guys are probably intimately familiar with being on the ships. So, we don't, you don't really talk to many people outside of, the current field you're in, just because of that reason. It is classified.
Yeah. So, I'm thinking about you transitioning to this space that you in, as far as like helping people, preparation for application and stuff like that. But before you ever get to this space that you're in, you're a brand new ensign, right? You're a brand new ensign somewhere, and you inundated with a bunch of shit, right? You got a bunch of things that you got to do, quals you got to get. So, my big question is like, what was that? So it's like a 2-part question, because the first question is like, how taxing was that, and what was that experience? But then the second part is like, when did you get comfortable enough and feeling like you were where you needed to be to start thinking about like, oh man, I can start helping bring other people on and do this like that?
That's really a great 2-part question. And honestly, the answer to it is the fact after you get qualified, you don't learn, you can't fully learn, and I think this is any warfare area, until you're qualified, because the training wheels are off at that point. When you're making decisions that can affect not just yourself, but other people, you take a little more, there's a little more pause, if you will. But you asked about the first job that I had. I was actually at Navy Information Operations Command, Colorado, and that's in Buckley, Space Force Base in Aurora. And I spent 2014 to 2017 there, conducting signals intelligence and other type of collection and operations. I had to get my qual. I had to get my information warfare qual. I had to get my 1810 qual, which is my designator, just like an NEC, but it's a designator for officers. It wasn't easy, especially the fact that I had no background. So I went to Cryptologic Warfare Officer basic course here in Pensacola. That was 7-8 weeks or whatever. That teaches the basics, like 1 + 1. When you get to the fleet and you get to the command, you get your collaterals, you get your division, you get your day job. And it's just, I was the anti-terrorism force protection officer for our command. We're a tenant command in a non-Navy owned building. And so it's like, I got to work through that. And then it was a lot, but again, I can continue to go back to the chiefs and the other petty officers that I had on my team at the time, because I was the Divo in charge of, what do we have, 25 or 30 sailors as a young Divo.
Yeah.
And, we didn't have any warrants, but we had at least 3 chiefs, 2 to 3 chiefs. And then, of course, the department LCPO, and then department head, the whole 9. So my responsibility was to get qualified as quickly as I could. And I was working, and the other thing, I was working watch 4 ops. So I was doing 2 days in a row, 12 on, 12 off. And then on that second day, you flip. So you go 24 hours off, and then you go on 2 nights. And I did that for 3 years.
That's wild, Joe. That's crazy. That's a wild schedule.
I have a question going back.
Yeah.
So you commissioned, did you have to go through like the officer crash course? What in Newport? You have to go to Newport and go through like an ODS, or what was the NDOC onboarding for that?
Yep. So that's OCS. I went to Officer Candidate School. So that's the other thing I was going to kind of mention, but I can kind of bring to it right now. So the different pipelines that we have, you have ODS, you have LDO Warrant School, Mustang School, which you guys are, I'm sure, familiar with. And then you have OCS. And those are the Newport schools that are specific to that. OCS is for your guys like SWOs, aviators, submariners. ODS, that's your dental officers, your doctors, your nurses, your lawyers, your staff corps, if you will. And then you have warrant, LDO and warrant Mustang U, if you will. And that's really just a fork and knife school. I mean, if you guys know anybody that's commissioned, which I'm sure you do, it's really just like, can you wear your uniform properly? Because they're out there laughing at us at OCS because we're getting our butts kicked out here in the circle, and they're just like, these guys, these clowns. And I'm like, I've been a first class for 12 years. Let me just go over there to ODS. What are we doing here? But they don't care. So yeah, OCS was it was a boot camp to me. It was a boot camp. It was probably a little harder than boot camp from my perspective, but you get through it. You got to work together. So that's how I got commissioned.
So did you feel like being prior enlisted help you through that process, like just that whole integration process, but then also like your careers, like what has being prior enlisted helped you with throughout the duration of your career?
Well, I think the big thing is helping me understand and realize that I know, I'd say, a good majority of what my sailors are going through, because I've been there. And even when my sailors on the ship, and I'll use the ship because that's some of the most austere conditions sometimes, whether you're on the ship or you're in a combat zone somewhere else, recognizing where they live and recognizing, we're all lucky because we have a bed to lay down in at night. However, I'm not stuffed in a berthing with, 50 or more people, so it took me to realize, like, I don't have it that bad. I show up to the ship the first day and I'm like, what have I done? But I'm like, no way. And it was the best, honestly, outside of the tour I'm currently on, it was the best tour in my 24 years. And it was hands down the most learning that I've had and the most development I've had. And I think for anyone that goes to a ship as a lieutenant, JG, ensign, or SWO, you're going to have those feelings, and you're going to have those powerful moments, sitting on the fantail, the sun's setting, and you're like, wow, I'm in the middle of the South China Sea and this is all I got.
Yeah.
Like, there's something to be said about that, and it's very special. And so that's why I find, being, surface Navy, or at least being out to the sea as a Crippy was a very special time in my life.
Yeah, me and my Divo had some moments, yo. Like after D-Perm, like we ran like a Mob D and a D-Perm. Yep. Like it was like the same week or something. I don't know. Damon, were you still there for that when we D-Perm?
Yeah, I was there.
We did a 3M inspection. We did a DC inspection, and we did a D-Perm in the same 3-week span, week. Right?
Oh,
it was crazy. And 2 of them we did in the same week. I think it was the 3M and the DC inspection. So it was a 3M and a DC inspection same week, and then it was a D-Perm the week after. And me and my Divo both pulled the 24 one of these days. Like we both stayed up for 24 hours. And I remember finishing that, man. And it was, for us, it was another win, another success, like for us, right? But we built that, so we finally started to see the fruits of our labor there. So yes, that's the grind, right? Ship life. Yep. And I tell my junior sailors at the guard this, like, a ship is where it's at. Now if you're aviation, of course, that's your world. For me, I'm a surface guy. A ship is where it's at.
Yeah, I agree with you. It absolutely is. And it's very special. And if I could have done it again, I would have.
Yeah.
But it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah. So when did you get the urge, when did that kind of hair raise up like, hey, I'm going to start helping out other people do officer packages and stuff like that?
So when I was in E5, that's when I first applied. And I was working with my chief, my Divo at the time about, there's some other sailors around me, some other air crewmen. I worked in the weapons tactics unit. So I was a weapons and tactics instructor, level 500, doing training and curriculum development, communication operations guides for the aircraft that we operated on. We had to update them, send out TAC memos, updates, the whole thing, right? And we're all instructors. And so we're all fairly high, in my opinion, achievers. So everyone's kind of, doing their thing, competing, however, but we all took care of each other. And I remember one day, he's actually my retirement officer, Doug Moore. He's a retired commander, former enlisted submariner turned NFO, Naval Flight Officer, and then was my OIC at the time. And he told me, he's like, when you get to where you want to go, make sure you bring others along. And I'll never forget that. And that's so true, because you always want to pay it forward. And I remember standing in ranks in VP 16 in 2002 or 2003, and everyone's getting awards, right? Like good conducts, NAMs, awards quarters, you guys get it. And I'm in the back row, young airman apprentice Migdal, and I'm like, man, I want an award. Like that was the selfish mentality that I had, right? I was like, I'm not getting an award. Well, I've been working so hard, And so like that mind shift flipped. It has to. Right. And for some of these young sailors, a lot of them, it's all about what's in it for me. And and that is not, it's dangerous, because I think if you're not looking out for, shipmate self, I think you might be outside of the boundaries. And again, I've kind of always felt this way. It hasn't been, from the perspective of being an officer now. As I became more senior, right? E3, E4, I started to listen to the chief a lot more. They always say, ask the chief. It's a household phrase. Well, back when we joined, I don't think ask the chief was the household phrase, but I was like the little kid, daddy's home. Hey, chief, I'm here. Can you help me? And I'm not just saying that, because it takes a lot for a sailor, whether, they're young or they're senior, to continue to do great things and take care of people. So Doug Moore is a big proponent, and I feel like I was raised fairly well by my folks. Bring others around you, with you. They've instilled some values that I still use today. But Doug, that's the one thing Doug said when I was in E5. He's like, "You're going to get selected. There's no question about it. It's just a matter of when." At least that was his opinion, and I thought so too. But it just took me a little longer than most, and I'm okay with that. I'm very much okay with that.
Hey, Jeff, I see here, you then helped commission over like 20 sailors. So to a commission. So I got a quick question for you about what surprised you the most when you start reviewing some of these packages?
Well, first things first is that the first thing I check is to make sure that they're following the checklist. Some of them don't even qualify. Like they'll come to me and they're like, "Sir, I want to." This is even when I was an ensign. So every command I've been at since I've been commissioned, I've been the officer coordinator, and they don't read the initial 1420. They don't get into it. They don't read the program authorization. Like some folks are like, "I want to be a SWO." They're 30 years old. They're already past the age limit. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you don't do the initial homework and you bring something to me, it's like, go back.
Yeah.
But that's where the intrusive and deck plate leadership comes in, right? That sailor should be talking to his LPO or chief, and then Divo, and then go to the officer coordinator, But I can tell honestly by looking at a package how serious they are, because if it's out of order, it's like doing a letter to the board when you make board for chief. Everything's got to be in its own order. I'm sure you guys have sat, chief boards. Everything's got to be lined up. Everything's got to be precise. You can't really have anything out of place. LDO and CWO programs, that's a little more discreet, because there's so many discrete requirements that are, needed and necessary compared to like OCS or say a State 21 program. But you can kind of tell initially when they show up and they don't have, let's just say they don't have their transcripts, or maybe they don't, have an eval that's competitive. Those are not necessarily showstoppers, but you got to have that information to even get off the block.
Nice. I want to ask you about like, is it something in the preparation that's when they prepare that like showed up repeatedly? Like it's something that has to happen. Like, you look for it when you're looking through these packages. If they got that, that's kind of like, okay, we can work with this.
Yeah, I'd say when you first look at their evals, if their evals are just holding in the pattern of P, that's usually to me, that's kind of a showstopper. You need to be a MP or an EP performer, and you have to be sustained. We all hear the term sustained superior performance. Mm-hmm. You have to be sustained, you have to maintain it, and you have to, you're not just looking for an advancement. Like I know there's a lot of sailors out there that'll look at this and be like, I just want to get commissioned. And I was asked that during my interview appraisals I had 19 different interview appraisals over 3 applications. Okay, so I sat in front of a lot of officers before I was able to step into the wardroom. And one of the questions that still sticks with me today, they're like, well, why do you want to be a Crippy? Like, I don't, sir. I want to be a naval officer. Because before anything else, you're a naval officer. You're not a Crippy. You're not an NFO. You're not a pilot. You're a naval officer. Because what's your job? Your job is to support the mission, the commanding officer, work with your team, and ensure completion of that said mission. So he kind of looked at me, and initially I thought I pissed him off, but I think it really resonated with him because that's exactly what it is. You're a naval officer. So I think, having that, I would say that's the ground structure of how I view where I am today. I am a cryptological warfare officer. I'm very proud of that, but I'm also a naval officer, and that's what got me to where I am today. So
nice.
If I could ask though, so the answer you gave, like at first you thought that it was wrong. You pissed them off. I'm an officer first, and then I get into my specialty. Mm-hmm. I'd imagine, like I'm looking at the medical side. I'm over here at Walter Reed. I've seen feedback from some sailors who go through their boards that people in the community really want to make sure that not gatekeeping, but they really are guarding the integrity.
Absolutely.
I guess like the jersey of it. So the answer you gave, officer first, but what happens if a person gives an answer like, man, I just want to get in the wardroom. I'm trying to get that O2, O1E, whatever. What's the balance between a sincere answer like yours or the one like, I'm just trying to get my foot in the door?
Gatekeeper. I'm going to use that so I would say gatekeeping happens more, in my opinion, from the LDOs and warrants. I think it's very, very, very gatekeeper. Based on all my buddies that are warrants and LDOs. I don't think there's room for that, personally. I don't. Mm-hmm. Because if you're trying to do just something to make some more money or just advance yourself, you're going to miss the mark when you get to that further level of leadership, lieutenant commander, in my opinion. And it might come down to where you end up, I'm not saying kill somebody, but you may make a decision based on what you want versus what really needs to happen. At least, again, my opinion only. But yeah, I've heard that too before, gatekeeping. I would say the cryptologic warfare community, I don't think I've seen that too much. Now, the boards that I've hosted and helped with throughout my, last 12 years, we certainly look at the aptitude of the individual to succeed as a cryptologic warfare officer. So when we do these panels, just like doing a junior sailor or the quarter board, you're looking at, are they looking at everybody as they answer? Are they addressing everyone with professionalism? Are they confident in their answers? Are they second guessing their answers? So those are all things to take into consideration as well. But the gatekeeper piece, it's absolutely a thing. But I haven't seen it as much in my community.
Yeah. And one more thing with the evaluations, right? So you talk about you want to see people with the EPs and those breakouts and really looking above their peers, breaking out from their peers. But we all know they put so many EPs and MPs that are available that people to earn. Is there a higher premium on, all right, looking like what Damon was saying, an exact call out or certain verbiage or, based over history evaluations to get to that point? There's certain things in the write-ups that kind of key trigger without kind of giving away the process?
No, absolutely. I think you can absolutely put that in. You can put it in an opener closer. You can also put it in, the blocks on the back there. What are they, 29 and 30, for future programs desired or whatever on an eval. I'm forgetting the numbers now, but don't hate me. But you can put it there. And I think to answer that question, though, I think the sailor needs to bring it up to their chain of command sooner than later, because if they know, if you as a chief know your second class wants to be an officer, all right. If you want to help them, you're gonna drive them in the direction that they need to go, and you're gonna encourage them for from the professional development perspective to get them where they need to be. Now, I do want to make a caveat to what I said. If you have MPs and EPs and you're moving, a couple Ps isn't going to hurt you. If you show that you're moving forward, progression is definitely something that they're looking for. Because there's nobody. Let's be realistic, guys. We all know nobody's perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect sailor. We all have our flaws. We all have our differences. However, it is the hope that each of us are doing what we can inside here to do our very best each and every day.
Yeah. So let's talk understanding the process, right? And you got a couple of bullets here, and one of them is relying on social media instead of instructions, right? Can you key into that a little bit?
So I don't know if you guys follow the Future Mustang mentorship group on Facebook. If you don't, I'm pretty vocal in there and I'll go back to your thought process from a gatekeeper perspective. So we'll have some young sailors that'll jump in there, rate agnostic. It doesn't matter. I've seen seamen, I've seen airmen, I've seen first classes. I've even seen chiefs ask questions that could be answered by going to the publication. Okay. So they'll come into these, into this chat, and they'll ask questions that are as basic as, I want to be a SWO. This is a generic question. I want to be a SWO. What's the age that's required for me to be a SWO? What's the age out? Like, what's my age out? Or what's my time in service?
Yeah.
And again, I would offer, people will come in there and give answers, but I put a couple of public service announcements on that page specifically for that reason, because a lot of folks, it seems like some of these young sailors want the answer just given to them on a silver platter. And that's not how this is supposed to be. It's not at all. You don't just get your anchors. You have to earn them, right?
Yeah.
No one is created, exalted overnight, if you will, right?
Yeah.
So using that, and I know I mentioned it, the first place I would start is the 1420, and then you look on 980HR for the program authorization of the program you're looking for. Now, this does specifically speak to State 21, Officer Candidate School, Officer Development School, LDO, CWO. The bigger thing with that is you see a message every year for State 21, the Naval Academy, LDO, CWO. And again, there's different requirements for each one.
Yeah, when I went up for LDO, I just thought I could get it off the muscle. I just thought like, hey, I got the evals. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. These people here like me. And they found out after like the second question that I ain't really read the 1420. Right?
See, got him. Absolutely.
The whole board was based off the like, well, what you gonna do next after that? What you gonna do next after that? It's right in here. It's right in here. I'm like, yo, I don't know none of that.
And that's funny too, because if a sailor asks you, like, I'll have somebody sit down with me, and it doesn't happen as much anymore because, but when I was in my last command, they would sit down and be like, okay, you want to be a Crippy? Excuse me. Tell me what the steps are.
Yeah.
Okay, you're selected. You're Ensign Smith. Where are you going? Leaving OCS. Where are you going?
That's what
they look at me
me.
like I'm like a deer in the headlights.
Got him, coach.
Yeah, that's
I'm like, hey, go take some notes and come back and see me when you're ready.
Yeah.
But it's that stuff is so truthfully, air crewman, right? Coming into a cryptological warfare community. Do you know how much research I had to do to understand the community? I would like to think I did a pretty good job because, I got to where I am, but oh my gosh, it was so difficult. I get asked, what's SIGINT? I'm like, I don't even know how to spell that. You know what I mean? Like, what's cyber? What's information warfare?
Yeah.
Again, outside guy coming into an inside, different realm. So you got to do your homework. I mean, that's really where it all starts.
Yeah, I just got triggered, man, as a former OS. You said SIGINT, they don't want us getting the IW pin from back in the day. And you guys can't get it. Like, that's bullshit. But,
I think it is too. I think if you have an opportunity and you're at a command, I know that the ESWAS and, IDWIS, all of the stuff has changed, whether it's mandatory, required, not required, like when we had the air debt on board, aviation warfare specialist pin. Like one couple of my sailors were fortunate enough to be selected. The CMC kind of did a thing, and they worked with the chief from the det, and there was, let's just say there was 10 slots for PCS afloat sailors to participate in on deployment in the EAWS program. I thought that was awesome. And then conversely, the sailors that were on board that were air crewmen or even maintainers that were maintaining the helicopters, they got to participate in the surface program.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what you do there? You know what that happens? That bridges the gap, and it brings us together as a Navy when you do things like that. And so when leadership is willing to lean in on that, and of course not breaking any regulations, I think it just makes us a superpower. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a question on Jeff, I'm just looking for a good story right here, man, to tell you the truth. Have you seen someone waste months because they follow bad gouge? They wasted like months of their time.
So there's one guy that comes to mind 2 commands ago. He's a little bit older, right? So he's in his mid-30s, but there's still opportunity in your mid-30s for certain designators. He had been waiting to talk to me, and I was in a different department, and he told his chief, he told his divo, hey, I'm going to put my special request shit in, and I'm going to route it. And so he routes it. Captain says, sure, you can apply for OCS. And has his degree, whole 9 yards. He was a PMP sailor, and he was moving to the right. So competitive. I wouldn't call him in the top tier, but he was competitive. So he sits down with me, and we sit down together. I usually recommend bring me a copy of what you want to submit to the board, and I'm going to go through it. Usually I ask for it ahead of time so I can take notes, and then I give them a good product. Well, in this situation, I didn't do that. And that's a failure on me. So he sits down, and these are the things that I'd been told. He had Ps, he was moving to the right on MPs, he was moving to the right on EPs, had been in the Navy, I think at this point, 10 years, right? I forget the designator that he was looking at, but he was qualified by the designator, and he wasn't too old. Mm-hmm. Well, the designator that he wanted to go to, and I can't remember what it was, he had too much time in service. So all that work he didn't read the 1420. He didn't read the program authorization. He did all the work. The package was put together well, but he didn't have the time. The time in service has exceeded. And you can ask for waivers. It says in there you can ask for waivers, but the waivers can't, let's just say, it can't exceed 72 months. This guy was like at 120.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that's what's interesting. So in 2014, when I was commissioned, 2 years later, they changed the cryptologic warfare officer time in service requirement to commission through OCS. Because when I commissioned, I had 121 months or 112 months of qualifying service. If I would have applied 2 years later, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah. So selfish question. I got a package a folder on my desk right now. Yep. Seller asking to be a part of the program. She got the nav admin for this year in the package and everything.
Which program? Is she looking to stay 21? What's she looking at?
LDO.
Okay. Yep.
She's trying to go LDO, right? But my question is this, right? And I haven't really looked into the package. I'm gonna look at it tomorrow. Just as a CMC, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what should a good CMC be thinking about with this folder on their desk?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, I think the first things first is it's for Warren or LDO. Which one?
She going for LDO.
LDO. Well, is it somebody that you're going to want first class or chief?
First class.
Is this someone you're going to want, training your sailors? Is this someone that's technical enough to do just that, train those sailors? Because when you become an LDO or a warrant, that's your bread and butter, your technical piece, your technical prowess. That's where, as a CMC, again, my opinion only, that's where I want my warrants. That's where I want my LDOs. I want them in the spaces, and I want them leading sailors and training those sailors to get the mission done. Because a lot of the warrants and LDOs, I'm sure you guys have seen it, they don't do admin. They may do onesie-twosie admin here and there when the divo's out, but they're not your traditional divos. They're typically running mission, and they're leading sailors through those missions. So if she's got the capability to be, very technically astute, I would look at it from that perspective. If you're able to discern that from her folder that she provided, I'm imagining there's probably some evals in there. There's probably, some letters of commendation of some sort, some awards. it's been a minute since I've looked at an LDO slash, again, it's probably just a request right now if I had to guess.
Yeah, it's a request. Yeah, she got some extra items. She got some package items in there, but it's more of a request than anything. But
yeah, so I think for you to your skipper, the idea is that someone you can see in his wardroom, regardless of designator, is that somebody that's going to uphold the name of what they're looking to do and be able to bring it forward for others, and again, it's different with every designator too, because LDOs and warrants, they're just different animals. They're just different animals. You're not the same. Like they're known experts in their field. And that's how I've always seen it. And they have an open door to the CMC. They have an open door to the CO, XO, at least the commands I've been in, and almost to an unrestricted maneuver. Like, we talk about restricting our ability to maneuver ball, diamond, ball out to sea when we're doing an unrep or a refueling. They don't have the restrictions. They can move however they see fit. And usually a lot of the captains, if it's a good Warner LDO, they're going to allow that maneuver, them to maneuver.
Yeah, because we want to hear it, right? We want to know.
Absolutely.
We were talking about preparation, and one of your notes, right? It says lack of preparation before mentorship engagement, right? And I think people need to hear that, right? Because I think some people, the first thing they think is, hey, I need to find a mentor.
Absolutely.
And my mentor take me through there. But I'm interested in your kind of talk to that.
So I would tell you, you guys probably all carry wheel books or a green notebook everywhere you go. That's Sailor 101, right? We learned that from day one. That and our water bottle, let's be real, or our canteen. But if you don't come to the meeting prepared, and I've had sailors do that, and I gently and politely and respectfully, I say, hey, we're not in a good spot. I need to see your divo, right? Whether I'm a lieutenant JG or I want to talk to your divo, maybe your chief. After the conversation, I don't just cut people off. I'm not ruthless, but I don't like my time wasted, just like any of you guys, any of us, because if you can tell immediately if someone put the work in. As soon as you open that folder, if it's organized and they have a printed copy on the front and it says AWV1 Jeff Migdal and it's, perfect line. You open it up and it's all tabbed perfectly and pretty. This individual is serious. And I've gotten folders just like your blue folder on your desk for this LDO potential candidate. That's probably the right way to do it because she's routing a request. I got it. But you get a package and it's all disheveled. No. Like, because you can't do that as an officer or even as a chief. You've got to be put together.
Yeah. And I'm sure when she, the type of sailor she is, I'm sure when she actually does it, it's going to be crazy. Like just the package alone, we had a all hands and I thought it was like her meeting. I'm like, is this your thing? It don't seem ready. Yeah. She was like, nah, it's not my thing. She's like, my thing is in 2 days. And then the next day before I left work, I saw her getting ready and I looked, man, it looked like we were at the Ritz. She was like, hey, CMC, this is my thing. I was like, oh, all right, I got you. I was like, I got you. She got shit together. So now I want to go through your topic too, right? It says why the program authorization matters more than social media advice. And we talked about that a little bit, but you also talked about the importance of using the current year PA.
Absolutely. And sometimes, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but sometimes you'll see, my Navy HR, love them. They do a lot of great work, but they got a lot of irons in the fire. Sometimes things don't get updated the way they're supposed to, right? And someone might pull an out-of-date instruction. It might be in a folder that maybe they pulled it from their share drive or one, flank speed or something. You got to always go back. You can get back. I mean, they say it's an aviation thing. I think they probably do it in the surface Navy. Live by the gouge, die by the gouge. And if you don't have the right tools and the right, you're setting yourself up for failure, but you're also setting your chain of command up for failure, because who's to say, you just asked a great question about, that LDO candidate. How, if you're not prepared or you don't know anything about this program, let's be real, how are you going to educate your CO or your XO and be like, I think yes or no, or my recommendation is this and this is why. Another piece of that would be, go talk to your officer program coordinator. And if you don't have one, I would talk to maybe a local officer recruiter. Again, just an opinion. But here's you have to be careful of those officer recruiters. They're not for fleet guys and gals. They're not. They're for folks off the streets. So they don't, if somebody says, well, I'm going to go talk to a recruiter, go ahead. But you're not going to get the same love as you would from an officer coordinator at your command, because those program coordinators for the officer programs that are out, like active duty HR officers, if you will, they're pulling people off the streets. They're not even getting interview appraisals. They're just putting their degree together in a thing. And then it's wild to me how different it is for a fleet sailor like us to get
like it's harder, right? Like it's harder for us to get it than.
There's people that have gotten out of the Navy because it's so hard. Back when I was a second class, I almost got out of the Navy because I wanted to be a commissioned officer. I was so dead set on it, but I was told no twice. And I looked at my wife, Leslie, and I said, I'm going to get out of the Navy. She was like, no, you're not. I'm like, okay. So I just stay the course and keep paddling. But the program authorization, as you mentioned, is so important, and it absolutely is the foundation. And if you don't have an answer, call the officer candidate school or the HR rep that's on the commissioning programs page on My Navy HR. Just ask the question. Don't go to a forum. Don't go to Future Mustangs of America, if you will. There's a lot of great people in there, and they're willing, they're willing to give guidance, and they'll give you time. But if you don't show up, you better stand by for heavy rolls as the ship comes about, because they're going to light you up.
Yeah. You bring up a good point too. Sorry, Damon.
No, you good.
You bring up a good point about the Facebook groups. It's a new one, and I'm not mad at it. It's about selection boards and stuff, right?
Okay.
But they do. They get that sometimes the questions get repetitive, and then all of the answers are cooked into. All of the answers are somewhere. It's not like you got to get anything from somebody's brainchild. The answers do exist on black and white. So that is a really good point.
There's two types of questions though, and I think sometimes people put it out there because they want to be heard, right? They want to, they want to beat their chest, or they want to do something, or be the center of attention.
Yeah,
I'll tell you right now. With the advent of AI, which I know we all use, Gen AI and GPT and Claude, and you can get the answers by hey, pull up the program authorization of PA 108 Charlie. That's the Cryptologic Warfare Officer program authorization. Pull it right up. And you'll look at the date. Okay, it checks. It's from My Navy HR. Checks good. Don't go to the forum, Yeah.
I see that I know what you talk about though. I told David that. But I see that on those pages where people be like, man, look at my eval. What you think? What you think they gonna look at? It'd be like a 5-0. It'd be like a 5-0 eval. This seller is the greatest. Walk the order. Right. Yeah, what y'all think? Why you know that?
Yep, that's exactly right.
I just wanted to. Sorry about that. I just wanted to add also, man. Don't be like me when I put in for the program a long time ago, and I remember putting it in, and they was telling me, say, hey, don't worry about all that, man. You good. Don't worry about all that. Don't worry about all this crazy. Don't worry about reading A and the 1420 and all this stuff. That you good, man. Your eval's good. You're kicking ass. You got it. Nah, I'm to tell you, go in there and read that shit, because I was just like Dumbo when I got in that board, man. They was tearing my ass up in there, man. I was trying to, Dumbo. I was trying, boy. They was tearing me up in there, man.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say with the groups and everyone going to the the pages and trying to get the easy answers. I think the majority of us, Damo too, right? Because they say Damo the young buck in his group, but we was in the NPC world, NPC.Navy.mil, and then became My Navy HR, right? Mm-hmm. And I think people complain on My Navy HR, but My Navy HR has so much information that is so well cataloged.
100%.
It's all linked, everything. And the Instagram page, and I don't know if they got an official TikTok. They probably don't, but they don't, not yet. It's all there. So I think it's commonly you take it for granted. So people are like, oh, the streaming service sucks. Man, we have to go to the video store and get something. So
I want a Blockbuster, baby.
Yeah, I think because the access is so easy, it's taken for granted. I'm looking forward.
That's such a good point. And I don't know which one of you guys can do this right now, but I want to highlight something really quickly of what you just said. If one of you could pull up a browser and go to My Navy HR and just go to the officer section, I'm going to do it with you. I just want to show you something. I'm going to ask a question. My Navy HR. So if you go to My Navy HR and you pull it up and you go to where it says officer. Does it say officer on there? All right, career management. Go to active duty officer boards.
So boards, okay. Active duty officer.
When you look at let me know when you're there. If
I'm here, I'm looking at it.
Okay, so you see where it says 03 line, staff line, all the way down?
Yeah.
Tell me what's wrong with that number combination. Is that an O or is that a 0? Because it's definitely a 0.
It's a 0. Yeah, it's a 0.
You know, and I've sent an email to them to say, hey, I think you should fix this.
Yeah,
you're the one-stop shop for all officer stuff, and you're saying 04. That's my point. And that's why sailors sometimes get disenfranchised with the idea that everything is there. It is not 03. It is 03. Just like it's E3. So I bring that up because you made a great point. Everything is there. But when you're looking as a young sailor, I can see how you could be confused at times. I know that's a very drastic example.
Yeah.
But, you know, somebody's got to fix that. And I sent him an email years ago, probably when I was a JG. It's like, hey, guys need to fix this.
Well, I'm sure they'll hear you now. Shout out to our people at My Navy HR. What up, LT?
My Navy HR, peace. They just pulled, they pulled my retirement orders. They're done. I'm staying on active duty.
Hey, that's good stuff. Like, it's definitely a 0. It's not a O. So the key message one of the clear messages we got so far right here is like the PA is the governing eligibility document. Facebook, all that stuff, it's like cool conversation good, stuff, but not your source document. Now, you know, moving forward here, let's talk a little bit about the differences between State 21 and OCS.
Yep. Yeah, they're absolutely not the same path. And I've had sailors, you know, come to me and actually ask like, well, I want to go to the Naval Academy, but I heard it's in Newport, Rhode Island. I'm like, pump the brakes. Time out. As a matter of fact, it's not in Newport, but NAPS is there. You know, Naval Academy Preparatory School is there, along with the Senior Listed Leadership Academy, or, you know, SEA. OCS is up there. ODF. Anyways, so yes, the big differences there is that State 21 comes around once a year. Normally it's around July timeframe, and I believe you submit by, I can't remember. I don't have it memorized. I have to go pull the instruction. Mm-hmm. But you can only submit, once a year. The difference between the two and why OCS is so much more, in my humble opinion, lucrative is because you can submit rolling. Like, it's just, there's always boards. So you go to the, Navy Recruiting Center, My Navy HR, and get the schedule for the recruiting commands, and you can figure out when the boards are going to happen. And that's where you really start. I mean, you want to figure out, okay, what do I want to be? I'm going to use me as an example. I want to be a crippy. Okay. Do I qualify? That's the first place. PA, boom. Nope, I don't qualify. Well, what other designator can I be? Okay, boom, I qualify for IP. When's the next IP board? Go to Millington, look up the board schedule, and then you start planning backwards from where the board starts to where you have to be. You got to get it through your chain of command. You got to get the appraisals. It's not an easy task. And a lot of these young sailors think it's just going to happen, and it's not. Mm. I think the lead time is probably, with a good chain of command and a squared away sailor, I'd say 6 months you can get it in and out. You can get it in and out and submitted. Mm-hmm. But that's a lot of legwork for that sailor. And if the chain of command feels the sailor's, viable option for OCS or State 21, then the chain of command is going to dig in too, because they want to see the sailor succeed.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, you had a shit hot sailor first class in front of you. Which one are you going to help him? How are you going to help him decide between the two?
Well, it depends on how long he's been in the Navy. That's the other thing too. Timing, right? Because State 21 is not, there is definitely an age requirement for that. Mm-hmm. You can't just, I think, golly, what do I want to say? 27 is the age cutoff for State 21. I'd have to look. But I believe there's a cutoff for State 21. So it depends. If he's over 10 years, he's certainly not going to be a State 21 candidate. He's going to be an LDO warrant or OCS candidate. And that, again, that goes with reading the 1420, reading. And I've probably read that thing, I can't even count. I mean, they just updated it. You guys probably saw it. They just updated it. First time since 2009, you know?
Yeah.
This year, I think it was in March, it might have released. So.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got, I guess, timing too on it, right? You got course age. They gotta be thinking about age. They probably thinking about family. But I'm sure some of those designators got you out there putting in a whole lot of work. So I'm assuming a lot of that stuff plays a part too.
It definitely does. It certainly does. And, you know, I'll use me as another example is my wife, Leslie, and I, we had our son. He was born, and 26 days later, I left for OCS. So, you know, like, and that's like going on a deployment, right? You're gone for 8 to 12 weeks or whatever at OCS. I know it's a little different than deployment, but, you know, I'm not communicating with her. Jeff didn't, my son Jeffrey Jr. didn't know, you know, I mean, that young, you don't know anyways, but yeah, those are big ticket items. And we actually when I went to apply for the third time, we actually sat down and discussed it and put all the pros and cons together of if this is what we wanted to do. And, I mean, it worked out.
That's good. I got one more thing, Demo. I know you about to jump in. Is what communities are the most competitive and which ones are overlooked?
Okay, that's a pretty solid question. So from everything I've seen, I would say Nuke is up there. Nuke officer is definitely high on the list as far as competitiveness. You know, I would say the HR community might be fairly overlooked, but there are a lot of people that are interested in it, but they don't make many quotas. More specifically for HR officers. But from competitiveness, naval aviators, surface warfare officers, they're definitely competitive. But they select more because those are our two main warfare areas in the Navy, right? Yeah. So there's more officers in those categories. You know, supply corps, they're probably right in the middle. You know, logistics feed the fleet, right? So you got to have SWEPOs, you got to have the chops out there taking care of the dispersing and the food. So, but I think the one that gets left out the most is probably HR. If I had to guess, maybe PAOs. I don't know.
Yeah, I was asked about PAO. I heard a lot of people try to get PAO.
They do.
And not a lot of people get selected.
No, they don't. And
I see a lot of SWOs trying to get PAO.
Yeah, so you'll see, if you guys haven't heard, it's called lateral transfer. So you'll see a lot of folks leave aviation, surface, sub, and they'll laterally transition to, say, CRIPI, IP, Intel, not METOC, because METOC's kind of, the weather guys, they're usually PhD level. Those guys go through so much schooling. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something. It's like cross rating in the Navy or in the enlisted ranks.
Yeah, I heard they be gatekeeping. I heard them PAOs be gatekeeping, man.
Oh yeah, they don't select anybody.
Oh yeah, I heard they gatekeeping, man.
They're mad. They'll come now. You said the pitchfork. No.
Well, it's cool. Hey, look, whatever, right? Love y'all, but there's some reservists because it's like reservist PAOs out there that's like actual news anchors and stuff like that. Yep. So I heard it's a tough world to live in. So what's the difference between being eligible and being competitive?
Well, that's a good question. So eligibility is absolutely the first thing that you're going to check, right? If you find that you're eligible, then okay, let's verify your competitiveness, because you can absolutely be eligible and then you're a P sailor, because you need there's P sailors all over the Navy. It's just one of those things. You're meeting the minimum. You're going to be, the minimum 3.0. That's why it's there. To be competitive, though, it goes back to, doing the extra stuff that your team needs you to do and the mission requires. Are you willing to stay late? Do you come in early? Do you, take on a collateral duty that's an impactful collateral? And I don't mean just selling bread in the store. Is it something, are you running an ACFL team? Are you running a security team? Whether you're shipboard or on shore, I think the competitiveness comes from who are you leading? Who are you mentoring? Who are you guiding? I think if you have sailors that want to be officers, and this goes to the chiefs too, if you have enlisted sailors, E6s that want to, first classes that want to be chiefs, they better be leading sailors, because that's what they're going to do in the mess. And so I think whether you're going to be an officer or a chief, the competitiveness comes down to what you're doing to impact that mission, and more importantly, those sailors that are around you.
Yeah, I hope people don't ever take for granted. Like when it says like led X amount of sellers and such resulting in this many promotions, this many award, this whatever. That's heavy everywhere, you know, because that's the impact and all of that stuff, right?
Impact. Absolutely.
So, you know, question, how do you know when somebody should submit now versus waiting another year and improving their package?
That's also a great question. So I would say it's a couple things. Is the sailor qualified? Okay. If you're not qualified in your warfare area, I would highly recommend waiting. And here's the why. How is your CO, CMC, and XO going to endorse you and give you the red stamp of approval if you're not qualified in your warfare area of the current mission you're on? Hands down, to me, that's a showstopper. Now, there are extenuating circumstances, and I'm not saying that should be the red line for everybody. But if you don't have your EAWS or your surface pin, or you're not, you know, air qualled or, you know, surface qualled, you know, again, speaking shipboard, you need to be the pro in that seat. If you just jumped on board and you're coming from another command and you've been that shit hot sailor, you got to prove it. You got to reestablish your credibility, because every time you transition, you're doing that every single time. Your level of impact, it comes down to reestablishing your credibility
every time.
I don't think there's any one thing I would say that would say no, you can't submit, or you shouldn't, or you should wait. But there's a lot of mentorship that goes into that, and even in some cases, I would bring the chief in and be like, "Hey, what do you think about, you know, Petty Officer Smith's application?" And I would ask that question as the officer coordinator. Be like, they want to do this, but they don't have their air warfare yet, you know, or the IDWIS or EWIS, if you will.
Yeah. So hey, I just want to say, as a CMC, you talking about this, like, and I'm experiencing it now. I don't know about Damon and Damo, but do y'all remember having these convos in the scenarios during CMC COD where they talked about you get presented with a person who wants to commission, and you know, they're looking for your recommendation on the person's performance and intangibles? I don't remember much conversations about that when we talk about those scenarios we had.
No,
interesting. No. I find it to be, that's interesting. I thought for sure that would have been something that was discussed. I can certainly tell you that I think it's an important part of our development as sailors all the way around, officer, chief, enlisted, the whole 9 yards. So it's interesting to hear you say that. I will say this, and I was going to save it till the end, but if you guys have sailors, or you know somebody that has a sailor that is interested in any programs, I will always make myself available to support sailors. As long as they're willing to do the legwork and bring some questions and some tangible, like, hey, this is what I have. And you know you have, I'm willing to support, and I'll review anything, because I love seeing sailors, you know, move to the next level, whether that's chief or ensign. It's all great.
Yeah. So I don't, to respond to Aaron, I feel like a lot of those Navy schools are more about theory than like actual application of things. And that's the sentiment I had the episode we did with Keita, right? Like, yeah, we got all these schools, but I don't know. Let's keep it at that. I don't want to get in no trouble from nobody right now. It's not this week. It's June. It's hot as shit. I ain't trying to get in no trouble. So my question is, we talked earlier about when you know you're not ready, you know, to be mentored, right? But when should somebody seek mentorship? Like what step of the process should somebody be like, all right, I'm ready. I went over this. I'm ready to go. And what does mentorship? It's something that we always default to, but like, what's the nitty gritty really about getting a mentor while you're going through this process?
So I would say it starts well before the process. Mentorship starts the day one you join the Navy. It starts when you join your first command too. So if you're not willing to ask for support or ask for help, then I think you're missing out on the opportunities that are all around us. But as far as the question and moving into when do you want to start the position of being mentored towards an officer program, when you find out that you are interested, and I'll use me again as another example. The moment I knew I wanted to be an officer, I was at NES Jacksonville. I was walking to the Navy College office in my dungarees, right? 2003, hot summer afternoon, June, July timeframe, just chilling. And I see this lieutenant coming at me, looked like Maverick out of Top Gun. And I was like, that guy's sharp. And of course, you know, I rendered my salute crisp, you know, And I said, rendered the greedy of the day, kept moving. I was like, that's why I'm going to the college office, because I'm going to be a lieutenant. And that's no kidding. I remember that like it was yesterday. And so that was the moment I asked the question, is Naval Academy right for me? No, because you're a trash student. Okay, what else can I do? Well, I started taking Dante's and CLEP tests. Okay, did some Coastline Online, Coastline College, right? We've all done a little bit of that probably. So I started doing that. I had to understand and learn. But all that to say, I wasn't even rated yet. I wasn't even rated. I was on my day off, and I left the line check, and I went to the college office because I said, I got to dig into this. I got to figure it out. And so that's where it started for me. So when you talk about getting a mentor, I would say initially I didn't have one. And not until I got to the aircrew community did I really get a mentor that has kind of, started to help me. But if I'm giving advice to anyone that is interested in becoming an officer, I would say hit your wagon, talking to your LPO and your chief, and then listen in and lean in on your Divo. I mean, I'm not saying the Divo is going to be your mentor, but he can certainly point you in the right direction, potentially him or her, to get you to where you want to be. And then find somebody that's going to push you, because being comfortable is not what we want. Being uncomfortable is what makes you better, because it gives you friction and it makes fire.
Yeah, one of the things I didn't understand there's a lot of things I ain't understand when I was growing up. All I do was when this was a time when people were like, yo, you good. Like, I see you.
I love that.
I see you as an officer, right? I see you as an officer. So one of the things I didn't really totally understand was the designator competitiveness, right? So when people would talk to me, they was like, it would be like, hey, this or SWO. And of course, like I'm defaulting to SWO because I was an EM, right? So I'm defaulting to SWO and didn't even really understand a lot of the other stuff, right? And I know when one of your bullet points is about understanding designator competitiveness. And like, what do you tell the people that you're mentoring about this?
Yeah. So when you talk about designator competitiveness, every designator is different. And one of the ones I mentioned, the more technical, like nuclear officers, submariners, if you will. Every designator is different, and you've got to be able to understand what that designator means, what is established within that community, and understanding what you're going to have to accomplish. We've all seen precepts. We understand what board requirements are, the discrete requirements. So for officers, I don't know if you guys have ever looked at it. Again, my Navy HR, they got some great stuff out there. But it talks about, let's say, they really do.
Yeah.
But they got that sheet, and it says, okay, as information professionals, you have to do A, B, and C to make lieutenant commander. Let's say it's JPME phase 1. You got to have your master's. Again, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it memorized. And in every designator is a little bit different. Like METOCs, they want people to be PhDs. They want them to have a doctorate at some point, right? So they want these guys to they're very highly educated. It's same thing with international studies with intel officers. That's just an example of the degree that they can pursue. Or foreign area officers, I just thought of them. They are ones that get overlooked. Foreign area officers, but you can't do it OCS. Those are typically lat transfers. That's how you see those folks. And those guys, you got to take a D-lab. You got to be able to speak a different language. So you're not just going to show up and be like, I'm going to take the Spanish exam. Like, it doesn't work that way, So, but yeah, I think the designator, it just depends on what you want to do. Every designator is different though, for sure.
Yeah. And then outside of me having a tough, interview, and the craziest thing about the interview thing was, right, I did a few different interview appraisals and stuff. I did one with somebody who worked out in town. Real cool situation for me. I went to where he worked, had nice clothes on. We talked. He was a cool dude. The one I did at work was rough, right? So that was probably the hardest experience of the process. But I would say what was equally as hard as that was thinking through these essays, our motivational statements, that part, right? And what's some advice you that you have, or what? And I think that's I don't think it's a paint by numbers thing or a one size fits all thing. I think it's the person. But is it anything that somebody need to think about as they going into preparing their summary or a motivational statement?
Yeah, so you have your motivational statements and why you want to be an officer, page 13, I believe it is. It's got the two different blocks. It says no more than 250 words.
Yeah.
So I'll start right out of the gate. I asked them to give it to me in Word. If you want somebody to look at it, I look at it, and if you're over 250, I say go back and do it again, because it's about following directions. It's about looking at no more than 250 words. That's number one. Number two, I don't typically change anything unless it just sounds funky from a feedback perspective, because that's your narrative. That's what you believe on why you want to be an officer. Why do you want to be an officer? Tell me why you want to be an officer. I don't change those. I usually will do happies to glads. That's pretty much it. And make sure the formatting looks, somewhat reasonable. Now, I will say, since we have AI at our fingertips now, I didn't have that when I created mine back then. I know when you guys did your Chiefs board, we didn't have that. Yeah. You can generate a retirement speech in 20 seconds, and you can absolutely generate a statement for your officer package. Now, you got to make it sound like a human, right? Let's be real.
Yeah.
I would say don't reinvent the wheel. I was told a long time ago by a retired 05, I used to work for him when I was a first class. There's two things that'll make you successful in the Navy: plagiarism and procrastination, because that's what we do. We recycle fit reps and evals, and we wait till the last minute. So, again, I don't live by that. I want to be very clear. Lieutenant Commander does not live by that.
Do you see a world where we got the plagiarism checkers coming in? Because I got people who are adjunct professors or students, you put those in there.
Yep.
And it's probably going to happen for our fit reps and evals.
Why? Why would they do that?
I don't know if they would do that.
Why would they do what?
Why would they check for plagiarism for that shit?
For evals? For appraisals and all?
For fit reps and evals.
Copying. We all doing the same stuff.
I thought you meant college. College, yes.
No, college does it now. Yeah. College, Maybe don't know shit about that shit.
You said press. You said press 100.
Press 100.
5 evals over here. Nah, man, take it out.
That's trash. You're in the crunch now. See you later.
Yeah. No, that shit. They not worried. We not worrying about that, man. Because right now, right, if I want to start up a fucking command program, right, I'm hitting you up and I'm asking for the word doc, right? Like we just, like Jeff just said, we not reinventing no word.
You're not and that's exactly what we did. Do you know how many different people I have in my Love Me binder that gave me a letter as an example? I don't know, 20, 30. But that was when I was a E4, E5, E6. And some of those letters and some of those words, they went into my final draft. So it is what it is,
I wish somebody would do a AI tracker on anything, like all the shit, all the things that we copy.
They're gonna now they're gonna do it.
Now,
for what?
That's right.
We will not be able to accomplish shit.
It's not even that. It's that we already forge everything anyway. Like
somebody's gonna do it.
Most evals, right?
There's a guy who turned it into the school. Like, hey man, they're cheating over here. Everybody's like, what the, and then he blew up.
Well, if you create go college, talk about college for a second. When you submit your papers, they usually send it to this site called Turn It In, and it can tell if it was plagiarized. You can tell how many times you've copied and pasted. It can, you just don't do that. That's not a good look.
But outside of that, you could pull up fucking bios, right? You could pull up command and officer bios, and you could pull up 35 of them and see 6 differences. And it's the name, where they from. This dude's from Columbus, this dude's from Roanoke, man. It's nothing. It's we copy off each other all the time. That's why I wish somebody had the audacity to AI is making shit different. Actually,
you know what's funny? You mentioned the bio. So when I made my first bio as a young ensign, I actually went to the CNO's bio. Right. And I looked at his layout, and that's how my bio has been ever since. So if you pulled up mine and pulled up Admiral Coddle's, it would look exactly like it. Right. Because it's professional. That's what the flags are doing. That's what the 04 should be doing, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what I told. We had a first class on last week, and his bio was very long. And I made a joke. I'm like, hey, you realize that first class's bio is a lot longer than CMC's, right? When I became a CMC, I went to 6. I pulled up 6 different CMC's bios, and I said, let me tailor my bio the way these guys got their bios. And I was like, damn, they got some short bios.
That's so smart, and it's so important to know that. It's kind of like walking into the wardroom, maybe the chief's mess, but I know it's a little bit different walking into the wardroom on a ship. I was always watching the senior person. Didn't have to be the CO. Whoever the senior person was, I was always watching. because then I knew if I was doing what they were doing, I probably wasn't wrong. Yeah. And in boot camp, when they said you're wrong, stay wrong. So I just stay wrong when I'm wrong.
Yeah, and the circle back to Aaron, just to circle back to Aaron, who actually uses like AI more than me and Damon, right? But like for the sake of podcast,
I know a couple cats. Like I saw somebody my mess today. They put a whole flow chart. They took all the references, opnets, or they made this fire flow chart that's on a community page.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But like I said,
AI the right way, not to replace thinking. He still checked it like 16 times. Sorry.
Yeah, but like I said, to circle back to you though, me pulling up 6 different CMC bios and making my bio, that's all AI is doing. It's just doing it a lot faster than me.
Yep.
That's all it's doing is grabbing all those sources and just doing it a lot faster than me. It's just doing that work for you. So I do got like a question, and it's about the eligibility does not equal competitiveness. We talked about that a little bit, but one of the things that you got here, you're talking about OAR ASTB preparation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you dig a little bit more into that?
Yeah. So the Aviation Selection Test Battery, or the Officer Aptitude Rating, they are 2 different exams. If you're going to be a naval aviator or naval flight officer, you're going to take both of them. If you're going to be a regular non-flying officer, you're going to take the OAR, the Officer Aptitude Rating. So typically, the only time you would take an ASTB is if you're going to be an aviator. Now, there might be other things that have changed since I've taken it, but the big things there is you want to be prepared. And here's the why. You can only take that test 3 times in your lifetime. I don't know if you guys know that. Why does that matter? You're like, okay, I take it once and I get a score of, say, typically scores of 55 or higher are competitive. Okay. I've seen scores in the 40s. I've seen scores in the 30s. As long as you're above the waiverable average, let's call it 42. I'm just going to use that as a number. If you're at or above 42, let's say, and I can't remember which designator it is, but I think 45 is like Intel. I think Crippy's 45 as well. You can always get a waiver if you're packaged, and this goes back to the eligibility versus competitiveness. If you have an outstanding application and everything is rock solid, and I'm saying this for a reason because I'm about to show my ass. My ASVAB was, or not my ASVAB, but my OAR was low. I think it was like 40. Well, it still qualified at the time. It wouldn't now, right? But here's what I'll say to that. If you have an awesome application, your package is solid, you got sustained superior performance, you're hitting all the right wickets, it's kind of like you said, Damo, you can kind of power through it. Because every single board that I sat on during my 19 interviews for the 3 applications that I applied for, I don't think there was probably less than half of the people asked me, why don't you retake your AST or your OAR? And the reason I didn't do it was because I was afraid of getting a lower score. And it goes back to that 3 times as a charm. I'm qualified to submit. It's a little lower than I want it to be. But if I take it again, I have risk of being lower of the qualified, and then I'm not eligible. And it goes back to that competitiveness and the eligibility. So my package really carried me over the line. I had a qualifying score. It wasn't an exceedingly high score, but it was qualifying. So that's where you have to really pay attention to that. And even before you go to the program authorization, you've got to make sure you're eligible. That's the other thing that people don't realize. Sailors don't understand. It's like, I want to be an officer, and they're routing a chit. I'm like, what's your OAR score? What's an OAR? Turn around.
Yeah.
Like hey, no. So how important is, and I don't know if this isn't in like your bullet points or your outline, but this is something I see in different communities, and I'm kind of slow walking it for a reason, but it happens sometime in the CMC community. I heard about it. Let me say that. I heard about it in the CMC community as far as like the value of who boards you and interviews you, right? When I was going up for officer, that was a big thing. Like, hey, you got to make sure that you get an interview from this. Is that a real thing?
No, it's really, honestly, if you read the 1152, I believe that's the nav crew form for the appraisals. If you read it, it says 03 and above. Okay.
Yeah.
Qualified warfare 03 and above. The higher you get, they always would. It's just I think that's a folk tale, if you will. The higher of the rank of the individual appraising you, the better off you are. Right.
Yeah. That's what killed me. That's what killed me.
You probably have like what, 01s doing your appraisals?
Well, look, no. So I had the 01s and was straight. Like I'd have been straight if I would have stuck with the 01s, but I knew the 05s and and when they got involved, that's what messed
Gatekeeper.
me up.
They held that shit in abeyance. You're the gatekeeper.
I should have read. I should have read the 1420.
Yes, that's a good place to start. But I should get a shirt made. I should have read the 1420. But no, seriously, I don't think there's anything written anywhere. And if there is, somebody hit me up, Migdal.com, and I'll hook me up. Send me an email.
Yeah, have you heard that like dirty rumor?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, I even did it when I was a second in first class. I was trying to find every 05 I could. And honestly, I think out of all the applications, and I still have my binder, it's actually at my office. And I could look through and see how many lieutenant commanders and commanders and captains. I actually had another thing, people say flag officers. So I worked in Tacoma in Oklahoma, and Admiral Haney, who was the commander of STRATCOM at the time, actually signed a letter for me. So that was on my third application. So my Commodore pushed up my letter. It's so funny too, because you look at her letter and then you look at Admiral Haney's letter and they're identical, just with an admiral versus a captain. So, talk about plagiarizing, baby. Come on, boys. You get it.
Common avoidable mistakes commands continue to see.
Yeah. Time and service. That's a big one. Time and service eligibility requirements. I mean, it really starts at the eligibility requirements. Missing deadlines, or trying to push the chain of command to support you because you're behind the power curve. That's not an officer. That's, in my opinion, that's not officer material, because you always have to be looking 2, 3, 4 steps ahead. You shouldn't be looking right in front of your face. You should be focused at what's the next step? What's that? When's the board? Okay, the board is in March. Okay, back yourself up 6 to 9 months because you've got to get through the chain of command. Are you qualified? Yes. Do you have the OAR? Nope, I have to retake it. Back yourself up 3 more months because you got to study, right? Then you got to think about, are you deploying? Are you transferring? That's another thing people forget about. If you're transferring, you cannot submit an application in accordance with the 1420 within 3 months of PCS. But guess what we see? We see people trying to do it, and I've seen sailors submit it and then transfer and get selected. It says it in there not to do it.
Well, what's the appetites on ETPs? Are there certain aspects for these things?
Well, that goes back to the waiver. Yeah, so the exception to policy is definitely a thing. When it comes to waivers for certain things, like whether it's a GPA or a OAR ASTB score, they can only be waived a certain percentage. And really, you want to start with the officer community manager of the community you want to join. So if you're looking at CRIPI, you want to call the OCM, which is usually the 06, and you want to be like, hey, are they allowing waivers right now for the OAR? Yes or no? I mean, because there's so much competitiveness in this, they want the best of the best. Taking a good OAR and scoring a 55 or whatever, that's a competitive score. The OAR just gets you to, it's like making board for chief. It just gets you to the dance. That's all it does. And that's the way I've always kind of looked at it. I was never a chief. I was going to take the chief's exam for LDO purposes, but then I was selected for OCS, so I withdrew my request because I didn't want to take it away from anybody else. So yeah, I mean, the OAR is just that's the gatekeeper to get you to the dance, if you will. So those are the common mistakes I see. And again, not coming prepared. I've seen sailors do it all the time. They've done it to me. They've done it to my other divos and my other teammates. It's not a good look, because if you want us to vouch for you and vet you and put our name on the paper, you got to make it worth our time.
Yeah. How early should I be preparing for that OAR ASTB test?
Well, it just depends on when you want to apply it. What's your rank? Where are you at in your career? What's your age? Because all that matters too, right? Because if you're aged out for XX designator or whatever you're thinking, you're not even eligible. But I would say, from a timeline perspective, in my humble opinion, I think the moment you recognize you want to be an officer, start looking at the OAR. Figure out the test score you got to score. Look at the 1420, because it's going to tell you, and the program authorization will tell you what the score is required. And then you look at your time in service. You got to bounce all those things together, because if you miss one, you could do a great OAR score, but you're at 120 months. You're not qualified for that designator specifically.
Well, have you ever, like, personally, because I know you mentored over 20 people. into the program, any one of those people, like, you get a personal attachment more than the rest? Any of them? You got any stories where you were like personally attached to one of these people who you mentored through?
You know, what's funny is I went to my old command, Nyack, Pensacola today. Skipper Moratti was relieved of, he changed command. The change of command happened today to Commander Pyfram. And one of my old sailors, when I was operations officer for Nyack, Pensacola, his name's Colton Roberts. He's actually now an ensign, and I got to see him today. He used to be a CWT, and now he's an ensign. And it was really cool to see. I mean, we actually got a picture together. I have it on my phone, because last time I saw him, he was a first class, and so now he's an ensign, and it's just like, we're all grown up now, it's like, hey Colton, what's up, Jeff?
It's always, I love that.
It's so cool. It's so cool. And to be fair, I was fortunate enough to help him. He's one of the success stories, and really kind of neat, to be honest with you. If I'm being honest, it's humbling because it goes back to, like, remember when I said I was Airman Apprentice Migdal, standing in ranks wanting an award? I'll tell you what, no award can top that. When you see your sailors get promoted and move up, right? And I know you guys feel that same way, but I never realized that until I grew up a little bit in the Navy as a young sailor. So now I don't want the awards. I want my sailors, and they say it all the time. I want to see my sailors succeed. If you can get your sailors to succeed, no matter how many face shots you take, you're succeeding with them, So let's go. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. What it like, just general, because you've been enlisted, you've been officer. What's like some general advice that you have for a young sailor, just even considering going officer?
Well, first things first, you want to get your qualifications. Get your qualifications, become a master in your warfare area, and take care of your mission area. If you're sitting the Slick 32 console, be the best you can be in the Slick 32. If you're sitting Inky in CES, be the best Inky operator you can be. And then branch out and get your pin. Help your shipmates qual. Look for opportunities to volunteer, whether at the shop or external to the Navy on your off time. The next thing I'd recommend, if you want to become an officer, start reading the manuals, 1420. Dig in, figure out what's required, because before anything else, you're going to want to know if we're even eligible, and you'll be able to answer most of those questions before you even go to your chief or your LPO or a Divo, because if you go to them with answers that are complete and you understand what the requirements are, they're more likely to help you.
Yeah. I got a question for you. Where does as a mentor, where do you draw the line at? Like, before you start enabling, the sailor?
It's kind of a broad question. I mean, I think we all could agree, we've been in the Navy long enough. I think when a sailor's got what it takes, regardless if it's for chief or not. Like, it's a little bit different. I think they're a little bit different but they're same in some similarities, because an eval is going to impact you one way or another. It's either going to help you, or it's going to make you or break you, right? And if you're not doing what you need to do to take care of your sailors, the eval is going to show. So when is it? Repeat the question again. Let me make sure.
When I say mentored, I mean for the program, though, not like a mentor in the Navy. I'm talking like for the program itself.
You talking about time?
How much time you want to invest in them? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. When you gonna draw the line on that?
So I don't think, I'm trying to think. I've only recommended one sailor to go continue to learn a little bit about the program, because they weren't ready. They just weren't ready. The maturity wasn't there. They didn't come prepared. But I'll stick around, but I'm not going to do it for you. And I think that kind of goes with anything. I haven't turned anybody away except for that one sailor in my last command. And it wasn't even I turned him away. He was never prepared. He would come and ask broad questions. There was no specificity. And when you do that, you're selling yourself short, because how can I help you if I don't know exactly what you're trying to accomplish? So, I just made the respectful recommendation that, in shipmate, if you can't figure out the designator that you want to be, I can't be the designator playbook. You got to figure it out, and you got to dive in.
Yeah, I can't answer everything. And that's one of Aaron's kind of things that Aaron kind of lean heavy on too. It's like, hey, get yourself together before you come talk to me. I'm not delivering this to your doorstep. We need to meet halfway. Meet me in the park. You know, like
absolutely.
I got some departure from. I got one departure from the topic question for everybody. How do you guys deal with spouses? And that's what I mean by that. Not your spouse, right? Seller spouses, right? Like, so, something relationship issue or something, somehow seller spouse get your number. You know what I mean? How do
Yikes.
Yeah. How do y'all deal with that?
If I can go, because I'll be the quickest, I have not had that issue. So I want to hear the mess. Let's go, mess. Tell me. Let me learn. Man. Let me learn something.
I dealt with it a couple times, Dumbo, but it hasn't been too crazy. It's been something I can easily handle, right? I haven't been in no crazy situation where I had to like take a hard pause and wait a minute. Let's call the sailor in and all this type of stuff. But I also feel like, you know what I'm giving. So it happened to me, right? First thing I do, Dumbo, and I'm gonna be honest with you. First thing I do, I tell him, let me get your number. And then I said, let me call you back. You know, then I call somebody that knows something about the information they talking about so I can talk intelligent about it. That's kind of how my situation happened because I didn't know what the hell they was talking about at the time. So I had to do some homework on it and call them back and everything worked out. But I think that helps I think it helps also with a sailor spouse or whoever knowing you will go the extra mile to help them out also. I think it pays it forward a little bit for you.
A spouse never cried to you on the phone?
Nah. I'm glad that ain't ever happened to me.
Oh, yeah.
What would you do? We about to get to you, Aaron. What would you, because I know you got some. What would you do if that happened, Damon?
I probably would still handle it the same way I handled it if she or he wasn't crying. You know what I mean? I don't get in my feelings about a lot of.
So So you just wait till they finish crying and then you're like, cool story, bro.
No. I will. Only time I will wait if I can't hear what they say. If they do the, you know what I mean, like that long pause, I wait till they get it out. Hey, you know,
I mean, you gotta wait till they get it out, right? Yeah.
Man said,
what you say? You gonna cut them off? You gonna cut them off? Man, cry like, hey. No, I don't have no tear ducts. No, not with me,
man. But hey, like, that's tough though. But
the reason why I'm asking because I've dealt with this in real time, right?
Yeah.
17 commands ago. Not right now. It's not happening right now. 17 commands ago, this happened to me. So, AKA.
I'm glad you cleared that up. I'm glad you cleared that up, Dumbo.
AKA right now, right? So, I just kind of trying to see where y'all thoughts are, and I feel like I maneuvered, so I can't get too deep, right? I think some of my sellers now listen to the podcast, but I've dealt with a spouse recently, right? And it's been emotional. I'm not going to go anywhere else outside of I sleep well at night with how it was handled, and I think I did the right thing. But Aaron, what's up?
I done had like every flavor of experience with this, and it's like because of all the scenarios and then also previous collaterals tying to it, I feel like this flowchart comes in my head. If call is about like child support, then do this. Yeah. If call is about adultery, then do this. If it's not, stop, go here. That's how my brain goes. So then also they like with I just corner my head, it's kind of like I get the initial empathy. Like if they crying, like I don't know if he or she is, you know, on cheaters or something and they trying to lie.
Yeah.
Oh man, oh okay, oh man. And I kind of receive it kind of like on some spy shit. Like, all right. They're like, hey, cool. All right. Click. Yeah. Hey, LN1, come here, man. Hey, all right. So I heard this. Just boom, email. it's real business like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just unless
I know it's obvious and my sources, because we all get our snitches and informers that come and
more
to us.
Yeah, you already know. Yeah,
like this is percolating. Like
yeah,
Ramirez wife can be on one up, and she made it to the command suite. Okay, here we go. XO, you good? I got it, sir. He's like, got it.
And Jeff, the thing is that people gonna do. I don't know. They're going to ask you for your personal opinion. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, CMC.
Yeah.
CMC, what's your personal opinion though? And it's like, yo, listen, man. Like I know you asking me for this. Like, like as soon as I say, and I've even said like, hey, as soon as I say something, like it's gonna be weaponized. This is not like if I tell you this, what was you about to say, Damon?
No, I was about to say that's one of the most important things to know, man. There's more than one side to it, man. That's the most important thing at it all, man.
And every side is convincing.
I learned like early, right? Like I learned do not you got dead your nerves. Do not don't let your heart get compelled and swayed. You gotta
damn.
You could do it like, all right, cool.
You hit it with the damn.
What's that movie?
That's
crazy. What's his name? The dude, Avaloy. We had multiple personalities. And he was like a beast.
Whenever Aaron try to remember something, but he don't remember. he be like, "Yo, what's the quote?"
I'm not tracking.
All right, it's a movie. It was in the same universe as with Bruce Willis, Unbreakable and Glass.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay,
I don't remember the name of it.
I don't remember the AI. Aaron, put it into AI.
The dude had multiple personalities. Man.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, Professor X. But I don't remember the name of the movie though.
All right, what I'm saying is like he was like his face. He was just like, and then he clicked out nice, and that's how you got to be. You just got to take it.
Turn it on. Turn it off.
Glass or something.
You gotta be like man. I'm about to get right now. You about to be crazy on him. I'm fine right now.
Yeah, Genesis.
Let me come back to this.
So my next question again is off topic. It's kind of the same kind of topic. Recently, I was on some Facebook page. It wasn't the Mustang page, but I was on a Facebook page and something came up about contacting parents when they're when it's an issue with sellers, and so somebody, I guess a parent was looking for their kid or something like that. And somebody was strongly against giving the parent the kid's information if they didn't have it already. And my question for you guys is, what would y'all do if a parent reached out trying to get in contact with a kid?
PAO.
Yeah.
What if you ain't got a PAO?
They will go. What was that?
What if you ain't got a PAO? Everybody don't got a PAO.
Legal, maybe? Regional legal?
They will have to go through the court access. Or in that case, I will ask that I ain't saying child, but that sailor, hey, your mom, dad, whoever is trying to get in contact with you, do you want to talk to them?
Yeah.
No. Hey, Mr. Anderson. I said Mr. Anderson. Anyway, Mr. Anderson.
He's watching The Matrix, man.
Yeah.
Here we go, man.
Hey, your son does not want to talk to you. That's that. Oh, the movie is Split, by the way.
Yeah, Split. Yeah, I could have told you that.
But you didn't.
I forgot the name of it.
see what we're doing, Migs? See what we're doing?
I love it. This is good.
What would you do, Dan? How do you?
I mean, I would most definitely would not get information. I stop and say, give them the whole, the whole little thing, the whole spiel, and then I say, then I go ask the sailor, hey. Mom just called, dad just called, man. They just let you know you need to give them a call or they want to talk to you and see how that conversation go. But I will say this, Dumbo, from my experience being on that old carrier, man, the ombudsman got a straight line to the CMC on there, right? And I was acting CMC and the ombudsman kept calling me about parents calling the ombudsman.
Yeah.
Asking ombudsman all these questions about stuff that has nothing. Because the sailor wasn't calling them or the sailor said the command wasn't helping them and went with this and that and all this stuff that was going on. And lo and behold, it was all about them not talking. The kid wasn't calling the parents. when you got Wi-Fi, you can do voice. You can do it. You can if they want to talk to you, they can talk to you. You know what I mean? So
you got a bot there for a reason, mama.
Yeah, that's right. Another option though too is like when you have somebody call your command and they're looking for someone, you can give that person in the command the information and they can call if they want to.
Yep.
You know, like people call a command asking for X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to give them X, Y, and Z. I'll take your information and I'll pass it to X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. That's another option as well.
Oh, I was wanting to add this with the ombudsman and FRG. FRG sometimes are a mixed bag. They have some great FRGs, fan readiness groups, and you got the ones that are like, you know, Desperate Housewives, mob, drama type stuff.
You got the family readiness groups and you got the family readiness.
Yeah, like when Max was on Buzzman, and she interviewed
you guys
to be
are wild.
Yo, they got to make sure
when we get off topic, you know.
You better keep the freaking FRG in line. I'm like, damn, you know.
Yeah.
I guess, together, but you're not with us, you know.
I guess family readiness group and family pettiness group. There we go. That's a little bit more PG, right?
Yeah.
They're going to get mad in the comments. I know.
Hey, shout out to the FRG.
FRGs. That wasn't me. FRGs.
The damage control.
That wasn't me, FRGs. I love you guys. I love you guys, man.
It's all about optics, guys. Come on, guys. Come on,
yeah,
pull together.
Shout out to my AVHR and the FRG. We love y'all.
Hey, you know where my heart at, man.
All right, last off, and then I guess we could circle back to see if we got like kind of closeout thoughts on the actual topic.
I got a do better separate, by the way.
Oh, a do better. I love that.
Jeremiah Copeland, right? 44 years, pled guilty to the murder of Angelina Resendez. One of the things that we told our listeners was that we were going to follow the story. And I feel like this is, you know, a major milestone in that story. Family got some closure. I think the big thing now for the family is trying to advocate for other sellers in this predicament or that could be in this predicament. And I mean, honestly, anybody could be in this predicament, right? Living in the barracks and, you know, that type of lifestyle if it's unmonitored, unsupervised, and unchecked, right? So, but I just wanted to follow through on that story because we said we would.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, real sad. I'm sorry to like just add that in there like that. And like, y'all probably wasn't ready for that one. So
it's important though.
Yeah. So I got a segment. Do you do better first, Aaron?
My do better is very, very early in the game. So my daughter, our podcast came across her algorithm, my timeline, and she saw I was wearing a shirt that she bought me. She's like, "Why you wear more stuff that I bought?" I'm like, "Damn." So this is a Father's Day shirt that she gave me like 2 years ago. So I'm like, "Hey, look, Ari Booby, I'm wearing the shirt you gave me, even though you was wearing it and then give it back to me." That's crazy. So my do better is, hey, y'all, like Father's Day, I know it's 2 weeks away from now, right? We are so simple.
Yep.
We're simple creatures. Just take care of dad. Don't have dad. Like, if you dad, I'm not grilling shit. I'm not cooking nothing. You gonna make me cook my own stuff on Father's Day? Like, no. And I'm looking at my son right now. I'm not giving you money to pay for my gift, man. All right, cool. Thank you. But yeah, just do better, man.
He said he got you.
I got you is what he said.
He said he got the socks already. He like, I already got you.
You got your socks? Oh,
the socks are in the back.
The Velcro sneakers, man. Come on.
the pajamas.
The do better is like, hey, we don't need much, man. I don't even want much. I don't want nothing. But if you do give me something, just us, take care of that, man. Mom be getting trips and on a whole day spas, and dad, here's some socks. And
it was some PJs from the Polo outlet, man.
Yeah, and then here's your hoodie, and then your daughter's wearing it, 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
That's all. Let's do better. Take care of that, man.
All right, Jeff, I'm going to do like quick, and we do this with people who got skin in the game, right? So I'm going to do, just a quick, you just pick one. You just pick one, no context. Every now and then people give a little, I might ask you for context, but just pick one, no context. PTS or Seaway?
PTS.
BRS or High 3?
High 3.
Beard or clean shave?
Clean shave.
Master Chiefs in the duty section are out.
Absolutely out.
Hey, kind of running through this. Black rank tab or camo?
Either way, but I think it's the camo.
Navy Toms or AFN?
Navy Times for life.
LS or SK?
SK.
RS or SH?
SH.
There you go.
Crank or FSA?
Oh. Wow, we're in a PC Navy, so I'd have to say FSA, but I like the cranking. I'm going cranking. I'm going cranking.
DSET or Decade?
Decade.
Cordon Bleu or Manicotti?
Cordon Bleu all day.
Utilities or Type 3s?
Utilities.
Utilities or dungarees?
Dungarees.
Dungarees or Tupac?
Dungarees. I've never worn Tupac.
Okay. Dungarees or coveralls?
Coveralls. Flight suit.
What's the black uniform y'all used to wear? I don't even remember that.
Johnny Cash's.
Johnny Cash or
That's the hardest uniform.
Johnny Cash or coveralls? Johnny
Cash's.
Curl up or plank?
Plank.
Command picnic or holiday party?
Holiday party.
Small boy or big deck?
Small boy all day. Tin can sailor.
IET or watch section?
IET.
Yeah. Pizza and wings or surf and turf?
Oh, baby. Pizza and wings every Saturday.
Friday duty or Sunday duty?
I'm taking Sunday.
Ooh, that's a tough one now.
What platform?
DDG.
Big deck of DDG.
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 Sunday?
You chilling on Sunday on DDG. Chilling.
Okay.
You chilling like a villain, baby.
Chilling. I love that. You get a little hungover from Saturday.
Yeah.
Because David putting the game on. He getting the first block NFL schedule.
That's right.
Sleep in a little bit, man. Okay, where we at? Oh, BBA or the exam?
Exam.
Map or make it off the exam?
Matt.
Shore duty or deployment?
Deployment.
Nice. Bottom rack or top rack?
Bottom rack all day.
Oh, bottom rack over everything.
Wow.
All day.
Like get stepped on.
Well, maybe it's different in 4-0 country, but I definitely didn't get stepped on.
Yeah. Nobody. Yeah, you gotta be. Hey, look,
come on, boys. Don't hate. Don't hate.
Hey, Damo, I'm gonna say this.
No, Aaron.
Hey.
Yo, your feet don't touch my rack, dog. I don't care
Absolutely
who you are.
not.
Yo,
don't lay in my rack in your coveralls.
I'm gonna tell you the reason why I'll never take a bottom rack. You pulling support. Last night in port, everybody coming back. You can hear, "Hey man, what the fuck?" Somebody getting peed on.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I was.
Oh my god!
I saw somebody throw up in the rack before.
What?
Like they threw up. My boy, man, I love him to death. He threw up in his rack, man.
Yeah.
He threw it in. Somebody else pooped in the shower and tried to waffle stomp it down the whole thing. And
waffle stomp it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dumbo had a name for it.
Hey.
Waffle stomp.
Yeah.
So you talk about taking a shower. Honestly, off topic, just really quick because it's hilarious. Yeah. I went into the wardroom one night and we were having our after dinner coffee and everyone's sitting on the couch. And I'm in my spot right in the corner where I will always sat. And they're like, Iowa, why are you in such a good mood today? I'm like, I got a good bath in today. And they kind of like look at me, the swos are like, what are you talking about? Yeah. I said, yeah, you guys don't do that up here at 4-0 in the heads? He's like, there's no bathtub. Well, of course there's not. You got to clog the hole, then you lay down. Perfect.
That nasty feet water, man.
I'd imagine a bunch of the ensigns ask a lot of the LDOs for their sea stories.
Yeah, they definitely. I would say FSO or FCO, MPA, STO. They had probably had a little bit, better. Sicko. Yeah. Yeah. That's a pretty good rapid fire. I like that. That was cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I'd love to see the stats on that.
Yeah, it's been a while since I need to get ChatGPT to kind of take them.
You got to get better metrics. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. so shout out my ADHR, Millington. Let's go.
Yeah, shout out my ADHR, man, and family readiness groups. Question. back to the topic for 1 second. If a sailor listening today wants to become an officer someday, what should they do this week? Not next year, not 6 months from now, but this week.
Figure out where they are in their command, or where they are in their career, rather, and do an inventory check of what they need to get across that finish line. Whether it's ODS, OCS, Stay 21, U.S. and Naval Academy, warrant, LDO, and you got to do a full check. Head to toe, verify: am I eligible? Right? Check the discrete requirements. Figure out if you're going to be able to make the timeline. Are you qualified? Will your chain of command support it? There's so many things that run through your head and run through your thought process that you should be thinking about. It's not just one static thing. And I would also offer, and I'll offer it again, if anybody's considering it and they have questions, I'm more than happy. You guys can share my information. I'd be happy to, support anybody. They can look me up in Global. There's only one of me. But I just think if you're wanting to do it in the next week, you got to make sure you bring it up to your chief, LPO, make sure they're tracking, and start doing the legwork.
Yeah. Any key concepts that we missed, or any key concepts that you want to make sure you cover as we start thinking about closing?
I think the big one, and this has been great, gentlemen. This has been fantastic. And I really do hope that the folks that have listened to this or will listen to this, and whatever clips you guys make or the snippets or whatever happens, I hope that it resonates with somebody or someone for them to want to commission. Because whether you want to be in the Navy to 10, 20, 30 years, or you want to be a chief or a master chief, going after a commission, if that's something you really want, just dig in. I think the one thing I would leave everyone with is the idea that you have to be prepared, and no one's going to do it for you. No one is going to, make your lunch for you. You need to make your own lunch, and you've got to cook. So let's go. I mean, that's really honestly what it's all about. Just stepping in, making some friction, and being uncomfortable, because there's not a job that I've done since I've been an officer that's been the same job. Every single time it's a different job, and it's OJT, because I've never done it before. So just remember that. And that's what's going to be expected of you when you become an officer. You're going to have to be very versatile, and you're going to have to be looked at to do things that you may not be familiar with or may not even like in that situation, but you have to execute.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this. A lot, like we're losing a lot of people that care about making sure they pulling other people up, or reaching out to other people, making sure other people are mentored and got a lot of knowledge. And it's probably something that people always say, right? But in my observation at this time of my career, I think a lot that I see now are people kind of with their set of problems. Oh shit. All right. Before we leave, is one last topic, y'all. Are you good? Everybody good with this last topic? I want to make sure, because what I'm saying kind of takes me to the last topic. So we had a conversation on our last episode, and the first class we spoke with, he said that it was a master chief. He was in a P-way, and a young sailor walked through the P-way. He was eating food, right? Boy. And he made it past chiefs. He made it past first classes. He made it past whoever was in the P-way, just on a carrier. Made it to the master chief. The master chief said, like, hey, like, you just walked past all of those people eating that? And the sailor said, yes. He's like, all right, well,
keep going.
Do it again.
Yeah, do it.
Like, go back, right? And he went back. And again, nothing happened. So the master chief ended up doing all hands. And if you heard the episode, you know how the story goes. However, now we made that into a clip, put it on TikTok. And this was a comment on TikTok. And I'm no shade to the person who made the comment, because we don't do that. But I'm going to read the comment. The comment says, on the ship, I'm so busy and have so much on my mind. Someone eating while walking is the last thing on my mind, right? That's what the person said. And I don't know if this is because I'm a CMC now or a Master Chief now, or I've been in for X amount of time, but I really don't like that way of thinking.
No.
Like, I really don't like where we're starting to make not like correcting people cool. Like, it's like an alternative to something. Like, no, it's no fucking alternative. Like, if you see the person in the P-way and they're eating food, walking on a pee on a carrier, you take the 2 seconds or the 10 seconds that it take to tell them, like, to chill. You take that and you take care of that. Who is so busy that they don't have enough time to uphold the most minimal of standards that we have?
Yeah, I think
that's my issue with it.
Yeah.
You're right. I think the good order and discipline is immediately comes to mind. And the idea that, whatever you're eating, it could be a corn dog, could be a Hot Pocket, who knows, but crumbs, you got to think about them and the cleanliness of the ship. And really, it's a bad look. It's just not right.
Yeah. But Dumbo, dude, this situation, man, you know why I'm going to correct this? I'm going to correct this because just what the CMC did.
Yeah.
What if somebody else seen me not say something?
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's the reason for it. And people they don't understand. It's not about like you being a jackass or nothing. It's black and white. You know what I mean? So it ain't like you gotta be you being mean or you being this, you being that. It's literally everybody knows this. You just, letting a sailor know. And the other thing, the other side of this is, I want to say this, man. Me and Dumbo first started this podcast a long, long time ago, seemed like anyway. He said something to me, and I always remember this, man. When we post stuff now, it can come back on you. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? We in an age now when you post something or say something. What if I want to go run for office one day and I say some crazy outlandish shit on the podcast, right? Yep. And then it might be like, we remember you said this, bloop, bloop, bloop. Right? Dumbo said that shit a long time ago, man. And it always make me think when I post something like this, I don't like when a leader posts something like this, man. You a leader, you're first class, whoever you are, chief or whoever, you post something like this, man. I feel like it's a possibility that shit might come back on you.
Yeah. And I call, and I know Aaron about to say something, I call like this type of thing, upholding this type of standard, getting the fries right? That's my kind of like metaphor for it is like, hey, we got, and I was explaining this to one of my chiefs before, and I was talking about, it was something that we were doing wrong at my command, and it was like the easiest thing that you could do, right? And I'm like, hey, man, we got to get the fries right? And my analogy was kind of like, food critic comes, right? We got all this stuff, and food critic comes, hates it, and then in the article, like the kind of headline is like, hey, this place sucks, and the fries are fucking horrible, right? So then like new ownership comes, right? New ownership comes. We do everything we need to do to get everything back up and running good. Place renovated, look nice, new staff, they nice, polite. Food critic comes back the next year. Everything's amazing, steak, boom, boom, boom. But he starts his meal out with the fry appetizer and the fries still suck, right? And that's kind of like where, like my analogy when it comes to these small things, like, hey, we have to get the fries right. Like, no pun intended, you should not be walking through the P-way eating food. It's not even a decision I gotta make. It's a natural, you shouldn't walk through the P-way eat food. Like I'm not even thinking about that, right? So
yeah.
Aaron, anger, ready?
I think most people know I'll land on this. I think the response is more, I think a better response would be, I'm so busy. We're so busy. Why should we have to talk about this? You got so much going on. That's elementary. You shouldn't be doing that. So why should I have to talk to you about that? That's one. Two, what's the saying? How you do one thing is how you do everything. If you compromise on that, then what's next? That's like saying, man, I'm so busy, I can't tell this person they stink and they should go shower. I ain't got time for that.
Mm-hmm.
No. You can tell that person, hey, man, you smell like fish grease. Come on, man. You got to take care of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anger. Yeah.
So back to, it's supposed to be angry. You like every episode, we need a moment of beige rage.
Well, nah, man. I mean, because I ain't got today. Maybe wearing the girl dad shirt, maybe chill out. I don't know, man.
Yeah. So back to Jeff. In a world where like so many people are just going through the motions, right? You see people, they walk past, they kind of in their own world, wearing about. For you to come out of your own kind of shell, your own bubble, and help 20 people through the door that you went through, and you didn't close it behind yourself. I commend you for that. Like, I think that's amazing. I appreciate it. And I think we need more and more people like that for you to want to create the documentation that you create these program guidances, and then also want to come on here and talk about it and expand that conversation. So thanks for coming on here, and just thanks for what you do. Is definitely appreciated.
I also
appreciate you guys.
Hey, yeah, I also want to thank you too, man. A wealth of knowledge, man. And sailors, you guys heard it. He got about 79 more days, I think, left before retirement. So, hey, hit him up. He said, email him, call him, do what you want to do.
Yep.
Make sure you hit him up and get any kind of information that you need. But again, we appreciate you coming on the pod, man. And also, I'm going to end. Oh, I ain't going to end it yet. You got anything, Aaron?
Yeah, just on Navy tradition, I just want to thank you, Migs, sir, for having a good mustache, a good aviator's mustache.
Yes, I think so.
If you're a listener, I'm telling you, it stacks. It's right there. You know what I'm saying? It's Top Gun worthy.
Yes.
What was Goose's son in Top Gun?
Rooster.
Hey, I think Rooster will be proud. So I think it's just
do that up top. You ain't even had to think about that the way like you was thinking about that other movie, Rooster.
Hangman. That's right, Bagman. Hey, just real quick before when we're done and we cut this, I still have a couple questions off. If we could do just 2 questions off camera.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, most definitely. All right, guys. Hey, Mississippi, stand
Philadelphia, stand up.
Nick, stand up. Go Knicks.